Living fully alive in every way. You're listening to Relationship Prescriptions with Dr. Carol.
Welcome once again, friends. It's Dr. Carol, and this is Relationship Prescriptions. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a special friend with me on the episode today. Judge Edna Staudt is Justice of the Peace for Precinct 2 in Williamson County, right outside of Austin, Texas. And I am just really thrilled, Judge, that first of all, your heart for the Lord is displayed in this arena of life. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking there's so many things we could talk about, but just first of all, welcome. Really glad that you're here. Mm-hmm. As a believer, I know from spending time with you in prayer meetings and so on that bringing the kingdom of God into this realm as a judge, as working in the civil arena and so on is real important to you. And maybe just a word or two about how that's important to you and what you see as the importance of the kingdom of God in this part of our society.
Well, you know, when I first became a Christian, when I gave my life to the Lord and I was saved and born again, I kind of looked around and I thought, where have all you people been? It's just like the veil was opened up and there was a whole world out there of people that I just didn't really know existed. It's a different life. It's a spiritual life.
Yes.
And when I look at anything, I feel like that we take Christ into wherever we go because He's with us. And it doesn't matter what field you're in, whether it's the judiciary or whether you work in a sports shop. It doesn't matter where you are. You take Christ with you. And that's what I believed when I was elected here. I said, well, obviously then there's a way for Christ to shine here too. And there's lots of ways for Christ to shine in your life. You just have to be open and creative sometimes to find them. And the way I found them first off was realizing that I'm going to be meeting people every day. I had wanted to go to the mission fields. In fact, I had left my job. I had sold everything I owned, and I moved to East Texas to go to a Bible college. And from there, I believed I was going to be released into the foreign mission fields. That was my plan. But while I was there, during the study and during fasting and prayer, God said, no, you're going back to Leander. That's your mission field. So instead of me having to go out into the fields to find them, the people that need Christ walk into my door every day.
Wow.
And it's just like God provides the people. So I get to live in my air-conditioned, comfortable home. I don't have to live in a tent. But I told my husband once, I said, I'll live in a tent for Jesus, but I don't think I'm going to live in a tent for you. But we've ministered together for many years just under that idea of that,
yes.
We're supposed to be Christ's hands and feet, and that's what we do.
How long have you been a judge, Justice of the Peace here?
This is my 25th year.
25 years. Mm-hmm. That's a legacy. I'm sure there's so many things we could talk about, but as I have gotten to know you, one of the things that so impresses me is how you have seen, especially young people, students, that just are in trouble. They end up in your courtroom in trouble, and you weren't willing to just let them be. You actually took action. What were the kinds of issues that you would see most frequently in these students? How would their dysfunction be acting out? What would bring them to your courtroom?
They were not going to school, and most of them were doing drugs, and even a lot of them marijuana use. But the suppression that came in their lives and caused lack of motivation. And they didn't care about school. They didn't want to go to school. They would use an excuse, but basically they didn't want to go to school. So that was the main thing. They would drop out of activity, school being one. A lot of the kids that get in trouble were great athletic stars the year before, but something happened, a divorce or a death or maybe just an introduction to a wrong friend, and then all of a sudden they just drop out of all activities. So they would drop out of activities, which is number one problem with kids. They need to stay involved in sports or drama or choir, something that I'd ask them in court. I said, what is it that you like to do?
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's BMXing or boxing or cooking. It doesn't matter, but whatever it is, let's do it. And that's what the mentor helps with, and helps encourage them to do the things they like to do, to motivate them into maybe that's what you should do for a living if you like it so well.
You mentioned the mentor. describe the mentoring program that you have developed. I think that is such a beautiful model, and I know that can be inspiring to our listeners. So, how does that work?
Well, the students needed someone to love on them. I was being the hammer in their life, telling them they would do it or else. But I felt sorry for them because they really needed somebody to partner with them, to love on them and say, you can do this.
Yes.
To encourage them, to praise them, to say, it's okay, you step back, we'll step forward again, and to just be nothing but an encouragement in their life, to show them that they were loved regardless of what they did. And even though they made mistakes, it's okay. We can get through this. Well, they didn't have that encourager in their life. And so I got together a large group, and I said, this is what these kids need. They need someone to stand by them for the weeks that they're in this program. Said, I want you to meet with them once a week for about an hour, and I just want you to listen and to praise and to encourage. And hopefully they will open up, and maybe you can share some ideas about the things that they could plan to do with their lives, and to look forward, to start looking that they have a future, because some of these kids don't even think past tomorrow. I had one child even tell me, I said, well, what is it that you want to do with life? He said, nothing.
Wow.
I said, well, what do you want to do with, as far as a career? He said, nothing. So it's, and he wasn't being rebellious. He was truly despondent. He was depressed. But the mentors meet with them once a week. And after about a 3 or 4 month period of time, and the mentorship lasts for 6 months, because that's the time of their probation period.
Sure.
During that period of time, they develop a relationship with this student, and the student realizes this person cares. And that is a tremendous effort in people. When you know someone cares about you, it means a lot to you. And these students found out that somebody cared about them, that was listening to them, and that was encouraging them, and then because of that, they made better choices in their life. They chose to befriend better students that were positive, as opposed to the students they had that were not positive in their life. Some of them, they finished high school. They would decide to get a job and fill out a job application and get excited about their new career. I had one student who was really having problems with his parents. Split family, divorced, and he had a rather abusive childhood, and he didn't feel loved, even though I know his mother loved him, but they all had problems, and he didn't feel like anybody cared about him. He got into a riff, and the mentor and him, they just weren't jiving for a while. He said he just comes and he won't speak. He doesn't want to talk, he's angry. He said, so I come and we just sit there and look at each other. He said, I think it's time to stop the program. I said, absolutely not. I said, you need to persevere, because sooner or later he's going to open up, because you are not willing to give up on him. You cannot give up. If I assign you as a mentor, you cannot give up. You have to go through. So he said, okay. I prayed with the man, and he went back and met with the young man again, and in no time at all it changed. And he started realizing that the mentor cared about him, and he opened up and started sharing with him what was going on with his life, and the mentor was able to encourage him to make better choices. And he told the story that his mother called the mentor. He said, I just want to thank you for all that you're doing in my son's life. She said, I got angry with him today, and we had a tiff. And she said, he looked at me and he said, well, my mentor cares about me.
Wow.
And the mentor was just blessed himself, because he realized that you didn't give up on the student, and it equated. And that student's doing great today. He's finished high school, he's gone off to college, and he's doing great with his life, because he found out he was worth something and that he had value.
You have described, Judge Edna, about students that don't seem to have any ability to imagine a future. Isn't that part of what you're saying, that these students have been so beaten down in whatever way, depression or the people in their lives or drugs or whatever, that they can't imagine a future being better, and so if they can't imagine a better future, why would they put any effort into going there? And the mentor is able to help them visualize something that can be for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I encourage the mentors. We meet once a month and we have different programs for the kids, but we also encourage that if he shows an interest, for instance, in BMXing, then go visit a bike shop and talk to them about the reality of that. The girl that wanted to be a weather forecaster, well, we talked to the weather forecaster down there in Austin, and they said, would you entertain an interview with a student who would be interested in that career? And I explained to them what we do, and they said, sure. So she got to talk to someone who was actually a weatherman. And we encourage the students, the mentors, to find out what it is what can we do to inspire this student to do what they want to do, because they don't think they have a future. They have been beat down. They've been told you're no good. They've been told you're worthless. They've been told I don't want you here anymore. They've been told some horrible things. And then not all the students are in that category. Some of them are just rebellious. Some of them just want to do their own thing.
Right.
They don't want any rules. And so it's a little bit more of a challenge, but it's that relationship, and my mentors are able to share with them the love of Christ. And sometimes they're able to get them to start attending a service somewhere where they learn more about Christ. And the goal is to get them to live long enough to know that message, because a lot of them are they're on the edge. You know, one day with a teenager is great, because they're walking a line of drugs and a death culture that says they're not worth anything. You know, we have lots of students who have committed suicide, and that's a heartbreaker. If you could just get to them earlier and say, hey, whatever it is you're going through, I'll go through it with you, and there is a life out there for you. There's lots of living left to do.
You said something that just really got to me. Helping those students live long enough so that they can understand that there is a life. And you mentioned showing Christ to them, that ideally these mentors can help them more with just the legal issues, but actually help them understand that what Christ offers is not a list of rules and don'ts, but it's a wonderful life. It's a lifestyle that can have meaning.
Yeah, but without Christ, I feel like it's a Band-Aid, because, you know, I know that there is an eternity.
Right.
And I know that if you don't accept the Lord Jesus Christ, then you're not going to experience that beautiful eternity. And so, you know, the goal is not to evangelize all these students openly, but the heart is to understand that a lot of the people that are involved in this program do know Christ. And then if you know Christ, if you're living for the Lord, He's going to shine through you if you let Him.
Yes.
And that's basically what they do. They let the Lord shine through them. And if the student asks about, you know, their faith, or ask about why they do what they do, I mean, they're free to share with them. And the mentor is free to say, I don't want to hear about that. That's fine. But they know that there's somebody that loves them, and the reason they love them is because there's a God that loves them.
I see so much that mirrors how Jesus treated people in what you're describing in this program, Judge Staudt. Jesus took people where they were and showed them that they could have a different kind of life. It wasn't just a list of rules. It was showing them there can be something better. You don't have to live like this. You can have a life. And it seems like that is exactly what these mentors are showing the students.
One of my ladies says she starts off with her girl by saying, this is a fresh start, you and me. She says, I don't know what you've been doing or where you've been, what you did wrong or what you did right. It doesn't matter to me. We are on a fresh slate from this day forward. And I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to work with you and help you get to where you want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, then maybe we can start deciding, helping figure out where you want to go.
Yes.
But the idea is to go, to move, to move forward. And that is difficult for the students. You look at students and they won't look you in the face. They look down at the ground. You can tell from their whole countenance or whole posturing that they are depressed and down. And sometimes they have a mother standing beside them just crying and weeping about, you know, why can't I get my student to do the things he needs to do and be more positive. And sometimes you don't. Either way, because not all the parents that come to the courtroom obviously are being remiss. Many of them are very responsible. They just have a rebellious teenager on their hands. And I tell them, this too will pass. You can get through this. You have planted good seeds in your son's life, and he'll come back. But sometimes they don't believe that.
Your description of saying to the students, the mentor's message to the students, let's go somewhere. Let's offer you change and help you get there. You and I, Judge Edna, have had to make that kind of decision in our own lives in the last few years. You and I both lost our husbands within the last few years. And it seems like that principle keeps coming up in our lives repeatedly. When you say, and yet Jesus does offer us a way through whatever it is that we're in the middle of.
Oh, it does. It's difficult to press on in life when you don't have the motivation or the love around you. And even sometimes when you do have people loving you, you're missing something that you want. Whatever that want is. In my life, in your life, it's our husbands, and we can't have them anymore. Not like this. But it doesn't make the days any easier. And I realized how people can get despondent. I was despondent, but before I became a Christian, I was extremely depressed and suicidal. And
Wow.
and I understand how you could actually do that because of your desire to just, I don't want to be here anymore. This is my life, my existence. Nothing about it, it's hostile to me, and I don't want to be here. And so I understand that, but you have to have the love of God somewhere in your life through somebody to help pull you through. And sometimes it's not the love of Christ, it's just the love of a person that just loves you, period. That's why when God said that He is love, and that's the main first commandment, is to
Yes.
love Him and then love each other.
Yes.
That is what sustains all of us, is love. And even when you don't have it, or if you don't think you can get it, then you get depressed. And it's like I said, perseverance is what you have to do, and you and I have been persevering.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what we do with these kids. We've had hundreds, thousands of kids through this program
Wow.
for 25 years.
Wow.
And we have students who, I can see in my mind the two that didn't make it so well, but most of them finished high school. They went on to some sort of life together. I've been able to do weddings of some of them.
Oh,
They came
my.
back. And one of the girls came to my window once. I saw her at the window doing something with the clerk, and I'd had quite a few dealings with her over the years, and she was still having troubles, but she was better. And I walked up the window and I looked at her, and I'll say her name was Shelley. I don't know what it was. And I said, Shelley, what are you doing here again? Why are you back in the courtroom again? I said, haven't we been through enough with you? And she looked at me, she says, I'm getting married. I want you to do my wedding.
Oh, wow.
And so sometimes you feel like you're being, harsh and tough, but the bottom line is love is tough. And it's exciting to see these kids at some point realize that. It's disheartening when they don't, but most of them do. It's a great success story to see the
Yes.
kids turn their lives around and realize that they're valuable and they got a future and they're going for it.
Yeah. Judge Edna, I'd like you to speak to our listeners who maybe they are a parent, or we probably are talking more to those in that season of life rather than students. But talk to them if they are aware of someone, or maybe encouraging them to be aware of someone who is in that stage of life where they can't see the future. Talk to that person who may feel like they don't have a lot to offer about just their presence in someone else's life and as an encouragement, and what difference they have the potential to make for someone who is in a really tough spot.
Yeah, but those parents who are in a tough spot need support too.
Yes.
And there used to be a group called Tough Love, and it was based on the premise of someone's coming along beside to be there for you. And so sometimes just offering to help, you may never ever even be asked to do anything. But if you're just willing to say, look, if you need something, let me know. Your son's coming home tomorrow, and I know it's going to be really rocky tomorrow. Would you like me to come by and just be there for you?
Yes.
There are things that you're offering that support. Just letting them know they're a phone call away. I've told people, I said, you can call me day or night. It does not matter to me. You pick up the phone at 2 o'clock if you have to. It's okay. But no one ever has called me at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so, and being there myself, I was also a single parent, and I had a rebellious child, and I know what it's like. And when I went through that Tough Love program, which was basically, you have rights as a parent, and you have a right to have a peaceful home, and you have a right to have support. And we supported each other in that. And the first thing that you learn is that you love your child through it. When you look at him, you say, I love you, but you will not leave this house. I love you, but you will pick up your clothes.
Yes.
I love you, but... And you let them separate the sin from the sinner. You love your child, you still love your child, you just don't like what they're doing. And that's a good message that everybody needs to hear when they're going through that tough start with their kids. Even think about your child when he was about 4 years old and the cutest thing on earth. He's still that child.
Yes.
He's still there. And you're going to love him through this. That's what you do. And just offering your support sometimes is the best thing. Praying with the person, of course. Praying for them. If they don't want you to pray with them, pray for them. Because God answers a multitude of prayers from a mother.
Well, I thank you, Judge Edna, for your own testimony in persevering, for showing the difference that helping mentors make a difference in students' lives can make, and in helping us all understand that the young people that we may see as having no future and just lost, they don't have to end up that way. That someone can show them the love of Christ in a consistent, responsible way, show them that they can have a future. And I believe that's what Jesus would show to all of us, wherever we are. And I want to thank you for being on our program.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope that was encouraging to you. It was certainly inspiring to me. Judge Edna Staudt's work with the mentorship program in helping troubled youth has been talked about all across the country, actually. She has helped other court systems learn how to do similar work in helping at-risk young people find a better life. The idea that she talked about, that these young people don't have the ability to imagine a future that's any better, and working with a mentor helps them understand that. That is exactly the way Jesus works with us. If you'd like to find out more about Judge Edna and connect with her, just send me a message and I'll pass it on to Judge Edna. I'm more than happy to do that. I want to thank you for being part of our podcast family. It means so much that you take time to listen to these episodes, and I so enjoy hearing from you. If you have a comment or a question about this or any episode, you can leave me a personal comment at drcarolministries.com/podcast, and I'll get back to you personally. It also helps us if you comment or rate this episode in iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps other people find the program as well. Thank you, and until next time, may God bless you.